Hi guys, my name's Daisy and I am obsessed with bugs. Today I wanted to start a bug series because I feel like I want to find community in people that also are really into bugs, and yeah, I just thought I would make a series of videos talking about bugs because I love bugs, and who doesn't love bugs? And I would like to be your friend if you also like bugs. I'm trying to find a bug community, guys, and I really need one. I love bugs so much that I permanently tattooed one onto my body. So even though technically bees aren't bugs, we'll get into it. But first, let's define what a bug is. Even though normal people would describe an insect as a bug, we also use that word to describe creatures like spiders, centipedes, millipedes, and other small creatures that are not insects. Etymologists, however, identify true bugs as insects with sucking mouth parts that undergo incomplete metamorphosis. So that would mean that actual bugs, if we want to give them the label of actual bugs, would only be bugs like aphids, cicadas, and stink bugs. Everything else is technically not an insect, so not a bug, but that's just from the standpoint of etymologists, who are bug scientists, in case you didn't know. How to spot an insect. Now, insects have 3 body parts: their head, their thorax, and their abdomen, as well as 6 legs and typically wings. Creatures that we assume are insects but are actually not are insects like spiders. They are part of the arachnid family. They have 2 major body parts, a cephalothorax and an abdomen, plus fangs, pedipalps, and spinnerets for spinning threads for webs and cocoons. They also have 8 legs instead of 6. Now, why do we associate spiders with other insects if they only have 2 body parts and 8 legs? Well, that's because both insects and spiders are arthropods. Arthropods are invertebrate animals with segmented bodies, jointed limbs, and an exoskeleton. All insects are arthropods. All spiders are arthropods. However, not all arthropods are spiders or insects. The first kind of arthropod is a chelicerate, which is an arthropod with modified claws. That's the category that creatures like scorpions falls under. Next, we have crustaceans, which is probably, as you know, crabs and animals such as that. Then we have insects, which would be where butterflies and ants would fall under. Then we have myriapods, which are the little creepy crawlies with all of the little tiny legs, millipedes, centipedes, like that. Then we have trilobites, which is all of the insects in the past that have the 3-headed motion, and a lot of them are extinct. Now let's talk about the exoskeleton. Exoskeletons are a key feature among arthropods, like a suit of armor kind of. The exoskeleton protects the insects and keeps it from drying out. An insect's exoskeleton is made of 3 layers: the endocuticle, exocuticle, and the epicuticle. The endocuticle and exocuticle are made of chitin and also sometimes calcium carbonate. The outermost layer, the epicuticle, contains a waxy protective substance. Although exoskeletons are rigid and durable, they have joints that allow the animals to move. Let's talk about some creatures that are definitely not insects. First, we have spiders, probably the most famous non-insect insect. There are more than 45,000 species of spider. Unlike insects, spiders have a fused head and a thorax. They also do not have wings and antennae like insects. Then we have ticks. Ticks are also often mistaken for insects, but like spiders, they have 2 body parts and 8 legs, and no antennae. Next we have scorpions, which are the guys I was talking about earlier. Arthropods for sure, but definitely not insects. Worms refer to many different creatures that have the long, tubular body. They don't have legs, and they, most of the time, don't even have eyes. Pillbugs are often found in damp areas. Again, arthropods, but not insects. Then we have slugs and snails, which you probably might not consider insects, but they do get lumped into the same kind of arthropod but not insect grouping. And like I said earlier, we have centipedes and millipedes, the guys with all the legs. Have you guys ever had that stereotype of if there was a nuclear disaster, the only creatures that would be left would be cockroaches? That's actually not entirely true, but it is very, very almost true. Cockroaches can withstand a really massive amount of radiation, and that's where that stereotype kind of came from. But let's not forget about our secret soldiers, okay? Ants. Ants are also that girl. Ants are strong. They are technically, if we're talking about body weight, the strongest creatures on the planet because they can carry over 150 times their own body weight. So technically, if you would ask the question, which creature is the strongest in the planet, ants would be the answer, but that's just a little fact for you. Let's talk about what insects eat. And the answer is everything. Some insects are carnivores. For example, praying mantises eat other insects such as crickets and grasshoppers. They also eat spiders, frogs, lizards, and small birds. Some eat poop. Not only do dung beetles eat the dung of other animals, they also lay their eggs in it. Some like sweets. Bees eat nectar and pollen from plants. They gather the nectar and pollen to feed the larvae within their colony. Some eat toxins to ward off predators. Monarch caterpillars and milkweed bugs eat only milkweed, which is highly toxic to many insects, as well as chickens, cattle, sheep, dogs, and even humans. Now, to relate this to another animal in the animal kingdom, marsupials, koala bears eat the toxins from eucalyptus leaves. But that's not to ward off other predators. That's because koalas are so lazy that they reach for the nearest thing, which is eucalyptus leaves, and they've kind of become addicted to the poisonous toxins within those leaves. Now to talk about my favorite insect, which is the bee, and that's because for me personally, I think they are the most important creatures on the planet, but they're not the only insect that does really cool things. So let me tell you why insects are important and why we definitely need them in our ecosystem. Firstly, they pollinate plants. More than 90% of the western bumblebee population disappeared in the last 20 years. Without bees and other insect pollinators, we'd no longer have tomatoes, broccolis, melons, squash, and blueberries. Without insects, without bumblebees in particular, a lot of our crops would not grow. And that means a lot of people and animals would not eat. So the next time you think about swatting away a bee or killing it because it stung you accidentally, because bees are obviously a lot more scared of us than we are of it, think twice, because bees are a very important addition to our ecosystem and very important for the continuation of the human race. And let's not forget, mosquitoes are the least of dragonflies' worries because dragonflies are the most successful predators in the entire world. Over 97% of the prey that dragonfly tries to kill, they kill. They are not only ruthless, but very, very important for the continuation of the ecosystem, for the balance, the harmony of the ecosystem. Without dragonflies, we would be inundated with mosquitoes, other small insects that kind of just bother our daily lives. And that's not to say mosquitoes' lives don't matter. Of course they do. But in the circle of life, dragonflies are very successful in what they do. And hey, I know we all hate wasps in one way or another, but they also eat insects like caterpillars, spiders, crickets, and that stops them from coming over not only to eat our plants, but also in general, they're a big pest and we need to keep the pest levels as balanced as possible. In the same way that cats control the mice population, wasps control the caterpillar population. Birds would be non-existent without insects. Over 500 tons of insects are consumed by birds each year. Imagine that, a world without birds. Without birds, without insects, there would be no birds. A lot of animals, humans included, eat insects. For example, in Korea, they eat larvae, which in Korean is called bundegi, and they eat that as a delicacy. There are a lot of cultural factors that play into the reproduction of insects. They also keep the planet clean. Insects contribute to the breakdown of debris in ponds, creeks, streams, and other wetlands. This helps keep water clean for plants, wildlife, and humans. And they also churn the soil. When we want to plant something new, we need to keep making sure that the soil is fresh, that there's vitamins within the soil, and a lot of those vitamins come from the skeletons, the carcasses of dead insects. So it's really important for us to have insects that live their lives within the soil, because that adds the nutrients that we use to grow our plants. Now, even if it might be true that insects aren't your favorite kind of animal, we can't ignore the fact that climate change is rapidly affecting their lives. Temperature changes will affect larvae and other small pupas-like insects. A lot of animals are losing their homes to deforestation, and although you might sit there and think, what can I do about that? Insects are really important for the continuation of the world. And I would say they are not only the most populated, there are more insects than all the other animals combined, but they are also so crucial to the nutrition that we intake, the air, the water that we breathe and drink. And so when you're thinking about saving paper, saving water, trying to reduce, reuse, recycle, think about the insects, because they really benefit from it more than anyone. Okay guys, that was the first part of my bug series. Let me know if you like this video. Let me know if there are any other kind of bug related things you want to see. I would love to do that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!